So welcome back to another episode of Rockology. Here we are in Clinton, Oklahoma at the Trade Winds Inn on Route 66. And believe it or not, Elvis and his entourage have stayed here not once, not twice, not three times, but four times. And up above me here is room 215, or suite 215 rather. And Elvis and his entourage have stayed here, as I'd mentioned, four times as they traveled back and forth with Elvis's tour bus from LA to Memphis in between film shoots. So of all places, here we are kind of in the middle of nowhere, middle America, Oklahoma. Clinton is a small town now, and it certainly was a smaller town in the 60s. There was not much here but the hotel, a diner to my left, and then a bowling alley. And Elvis and his entourage would stay here, park the bus right where we're standing, and the follow-up vehicles, which would have been a station wagon or two, and the Memphis Mafia and Elvis stayed here. Let's go up and check out the room. This is the suite. This would be the back entrance, porch entrance. Got to imagine when Elvis stayed here, the Memphis Mafia, the entourage would have hung out here, smoked a cigarette, tossed football in the parking lots. It's quite fascinating, really. This is a classic example of the decay or the decaying properties that you'd see on Route 66 from the 50s and 60s. This one's still standing, and as you can see, it's certainly seen maybe better years. But over to my right was a diner that was here, existed here when the hotel was here, when Elvis would have stayed here in the 60s. Possibly as late as 1972, but that has not been definitively confirmed. But the diner is here, and over to my left, on the other side of the hotel, is a bowling alley. And it's very possible the guys, if Elvis was staying in the suite sleeping, the guys might have maybe got some food at the diner, possibly Elvis was at the diner, and then possibly went over to bowl in staying here en route back to Memphis or en route to LA. But suites are right here, 215. Let's check it out. Wow. So here we are. Suite 215, really the only suite in this hotel. This is a basic hotel, really to kind of have this luxurious of a suite in a hotel in middle America, small town Clinton, Oklahoma on Route 66 has always been a bit unusual to me. I was here 30 years ago, long before the internet and before research was readily available at your fingertips. I had gotten onto this place and heard that Elvis had stayed here, so I came in town to research. And I spent the night here. It's crazy. It's been like 30 years ago. But everything I was told then, and as it remains today, most all the furnishings are from the period. In fact, when I was here 30 years ago, the TV was original to the era, was here. And it's now gone, of course, been replaced with more modern versions, but the furnishings, as you'll see, certainly is 1960s decor when Elvis would have stayed here. And again, he stayed here four times. Now, as we, in the internet age, this is becoming more of a known place, and as you can see, the hotel is decorated with some Elvis pictures on the wall, and it's becoming a little bit more known that Elvis stayed here, thus Elvis fans will seek it out as they cross America, much like when Elvis did. But again, he would have stayed here four nights. To my left here would be the kind of a screen door going to the patio lookout. The bus would have been parked out here. And this is all documented based on some interviews I had done quite a few years ago. I got a hold of a lady that had worked here during the time that Elvis stayed here. And then I ended up speaking with her son. Her son was a kid at the time, hanging out with mom while she worked during the day. And Elvis was here at the time, and he said that he got to pass football out in the parking lot with Elvis and the entourage, which is way cool. And naturally, as we all know, with Elvis's habits, it would have been the tour bus, and of course there's film footage of Elvis cutting across America with the tour bus. There would have been a couple follow-up vehicles with the luggage, etc. And the entourage, the Memphis Mafia, the guys probably would have hung out here and smoked cigarettes and cigars And then, of course, there was a diner and a bowling alley. But this would have been a place that Elvis slept in this room. And it always kind of strangely reminded me of Graceland a bit. Gold and the red was very reminiscent of me to Graceland in the 70s, which it's interesting because Elvis had the home redecorated by Linda Thompson at Graceland in the 70s, and when he passed, it was the gold and the red. He would have seen this gold and red decor before that was decorated, and I've often wondered, for the fact that he stayed here 4 times, that maybe the decor had some influence on him a bit and it translated to Graceland. And again, this predominantly dates back to the 60s. This, whatever you call it, a love seat or whatever, but is really indicative of the 60s decor. So I'm really thrilled that they've maintained this from the period, even though it might seem a little bit outdated. The fact that the building is still here, the hotel's still open, and this suite has virtually been unchanged over the decades is rather fascinating, I think. So just wrap your head around the fact that Elvis slept here not once, but 4 times. So a buddy of mine has stayed here recently, as have several Elvis fans, and he shared with me a photo, and he's a nice guy, he's a great guy, he's a good buddy of mine. He's not the type of guy to look for notoriety, and of course I know some people would feel differently about the paranormal and that sort of thing. But he took a photo, and in that photo there is somewhat of an apparition on the curtains, and it's that typical kind of a cloudy apparition, but it does look like, to me, there's a silhouette there, possibly of Elvis's face. So here we are in the suite. This is the bed that Elvis would have slept on. I believe possibly the mattresses, let's hope, would have been changed by now and replaced, but it appeared as I looked under the bed that the foundation on the bed could be from the era. But the bed has always been here. As I'd mentioned, I'd slept here about 30 years ago, and the placement of everything in the room has been the same over the years. So Elvis would have slept here, and very possibly Priscilla would have been with him on one of these jaunts, for the fact most of the crisscrossing would have been done in the 60s, and we do know Elvis traveled with not only the entourage, but Priscilla would accompany them as well on occasion en route back and forth to Memphis to LA. So as they say on MTV Cribs, this is where the magic happened.